Level 1 material begins with stationary practices and then later on introduces movement. The first stationary practice is the side stance with the wheeling body. The next thing to learn is the fighting stance. The number one mistake that people make in a fighting stance is turning completely sideways. This opens up the back of your leg. It also takes away your ability to use your rear side, which is usually your right side, for attack. Instead, I want to step back and stay fairly square. I want to make sure I'm up on the balls of my feet with my knees bent. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but basically, I just don't want the heels to plant into the floor. It's going to take away my mobility. A fighting stance is protective in nature. In other words, it's designed to protect us from strikes, but also movement is very important and also a very important part of both our attack and our defense. So you never want to get stuck in one place. So I have that spring in my step. If you notice, I'm not really wider than my shoulders, even though it looks like I'm in a stance, so to speak. My chin is going to be slightly down, but just like with the side stance, I always want to keep my head, my shoulders, and my hips in one line perpendicular to the floor. My chin will be slightly tucked though, because I don't want my chin up to be a big target and I don't want to expose my throat. And my hands basically, usually I say, start off with the idea of your thumb and your eyebrows. This is very high, but if we start here, you'll end up here when you're actually practicing. If you start here, you'll end up with your hands down, and you can see I'm not actually protecting my face. With my hands up, with my chin down, and I keep my elbows down to keep my forearms, again, perpendicular to the floor. I don't want to be out like this. And here, you're going to learn about rotation, the U-lick again, because I turn my hips and shoulders, turn my hips and shoulders, turn my hips and shoulders, turn my hips and shoulders. So usually what we do is the first technique that we learn for this position is the jab, straight in. I want to come from my nose, so I'm not punching from my shoulder, leaving my center open. I'm going straight down. Also, I'm not just arm punching. As I bring it in, I'm turning my hips and shoulders to get the maximum extension and penetration on the shot. Jab is the first basic technique we should always be working on, just like in the side stance where you're working with the straight or the chun choi. Straight in. This is a kind of chun choi. Sometimes it's also called tan choi. You can think of it as a jab. When I do this, I'm keeping my hand up. The next thing I learn is cross, turn. Turn. So again, I'm not punching from my shoulder. I'm punching down the middle, and I'm turning my hips and my shoulders. Turn. Turn. Then I have jab, cross, jab, cross. And you notice I'm not doing this. One, I'm not punching from my shoulders. Two, I'm also not punching without integrating my entire body. I turn my hips and shoulders. I turn my hips and shoulders. Jab, cross. Hand goes out and it comes back in a straight line. Hand goes out and comes back in a straight line, so I protect it. I'm not stepping all the way and turning sideways. I'm still kind of square. I'm making sure I'm up on the balls of my feet with my knees bent. My hands are up. My thumbs are at my eyebrows. My elbows are down and in. I want to be springy. I'm learning to turn my hips and shoulders, turn my hips and shoulders. So first I start with my jab from my nose in straight and back, turning my hips and shoulders in. Then my cross, turn, turn. Jab, cross, jab, cross. So notice that my hand is up while I'm throwing the cross. My hand is up when I'm throwing the jab. In, in. Hands are up. One, come back, protect yourself. Two, come back. One, come back. Two, come back. Jab,